So we discussed the other day the quite viral story, if I don't say so myself, of Lauren Boebert giving an over-the-pants handjob while in a theater watching Beetlejuice. Now, you know, there's more to the story too. There, you know, she was apparently annoying everybody around her. She was vaping in the enclosed space, and there was like a pregnant woman around. She was taking pictures. She was singing loudly. She was dancing obnoxiously. She was getting her titties felt up on. She was giving an over-the-pants handjob to her Democrat bar owner date. By the way, they've since broken up. Boebert claims she broke up with him, but apparently there's some rumors that actually he broke up with her because he didn't like this media scrutiny. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. Look, in a world that made sense, all these people who care deeply about family values and care deeply about Christian conservatism, they would look at what Boebert did, and they would be the most outraged, right? You're a public official. You're going to jack somebody off at Beetlejuice. It's just like, wow. Now, my take's a little different. My take was like, look, I'd be willing to give you a full pass if you weren't such a colossal hypocrite. If you weren't so big on family values and Christianity and all this being prim and proper nonsense. If you didn't make those arguments and you got caught in this, I'd be defending you. Now, granted, this is something that like a 21-year-old should be doing and not however the hell old she is. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. You had some fun. Let's move along, right? Well, of course, we're consistent on these things, right? Michael Knowles, the Daily Wire folks, they are not. They are total partisan hacks. And so now, all of a sudden, it's going to be an outright defense of over-the-pants handjobs in public. But also, it takes a dark turn. This takes a dark turn. Listen to Michael Knowles' reaction to the Boebert thing.
I'm all for enforcing public indecency statutes. I think that's a great idea. We haven't done that in a long time. I'm all for going after material and behavior that appeals to the prurient interest that could be obscene. I think that's a great idea. I don't think they're going to get Lauren on this. I don't think the camera in the theater, I don't think it really rises to that level.
She's on videotape jacking off her date in public at a Beetlejuice, at the theater where they're playing Beetlejuice. And there are reports that kids were somewhere around. I don't know how close. I don't think any of them saw it. But just imagine for a second this was a gay couple. And Jeremy was jerking off Bob. And it was caught on camera at the theater watching Beetlejuice. What would he say? He would be like life in prison, homie. He would be like life in prison.
I have noticed that there are a lot of Republican counties in Colorado. Denver is very blue, but there's a lot of Republican counties, and those Republican counties have Republican DAs. And I've noticed a lot of counties in Colorado have Drag Queen Story Hour. Google Drag Queen Story Hour Colorado. You will see pages and pages of events come up.
Why are you Googling Drag Queen Story Hour? This reminds me of like in Fox News, they used to get like so outraged by spring break. They would send cameramen down to Cancun where there would be these teenagers on spring break. And they'd be like, this is outrageous and disgusting. And then it'd be like, let's cut back to the video of that woman twerking. Yes. Play that again. Yes. Now play the one with the woman grabbing her titties. Yes. This is grotesque. Run that back. It's doing the same thing. I'm disgusted by Drag Queen Story Hour. I'm gonna Google it again. And then look at every instance of it in Colorado and study it for academic purposes.
And I think that if Colorado all of a sudden wants to get serious about prosecuting lewdness in public indecency, well, that's great. Then those Republican DAs should arrest every single one of those Drag Queen Story Hour performers.
Problem is, that's not lewd. That's not indecent. His argument would be, somebody in drag by definition is lewd and indecent. No. That's a you problem, not an us problem. Because when I see somebody dressed in drag, I go, oh, okay, and I move on. I don't go, oh, that is so disgusting and hot. I mean, gross. That's what he does. So in other words, it's automatically sexual when somebody dresses in drag. That's funny, because I don't think that. But apparently you do. Why do you? And by the way, Drag Queen Story, the whole idea is like, it's somebody dressed in drag reading a story. There's nothing sexual about reading a story. It's not like, let's read the story and twerk in kids' faces. But they pretend like that's what it is. Oh my God.
I also noticed that there are a lot of pride parades in Colorado. And I've noticed that those pride parades are pretty lewd. They're pretty indecent, aren't they? Guys dressed up in leather, doing weird stuff to each other on floats and in the street. So I think this is good. Colorado wants to start getting tough on lewdness. I'm all for it. Then all of those Republican DAs should start arresting and prosecuting every one of those attendees at the pride parades.
Every one of those attendees at the pride parades. Every one. See, this is, God, they're so authoritarian, man. Because he wasn't even, it would have been one thing to be specific and say, hey, if there's a pride parade that's getting way out of hand and somebody's sucking somebody off on a float, right? Like during a parade, and there's kids around. Yeah, okay. Any reasonable person would be like, nah, that's not allowed. Can't do that. But he didn't say that. He said, arrest them all. Let's listen again.
Colorado wants to start getting tough on lewdness. I'm all for it. Then all of those Republican DAs should start arresting and prosecuting every one of those attendees at the pride parades.
Every one of those attendees at the pride parades. Mass arrests for being at a pride parade, because that's lewd. It's lewd to just be at a pride parade, but it's not lewd to jack somebody off at Beetlejuice.
Extremely indecent and extremely lewd. Drag Queen Story Hour and pride parades are much worse than anything Lauren Boebert did in a theater.
Wrong. Drag Queen Story Hour and pride parades, as long as there's no overtly sexual thing happening in front of kids, right? Those things are fine. What is not fine is jacking somebody off in a crowded theater. Again, look, I'm willing to overlook it if she wasn't such a goddamn hypocrite. Nobody got hurt. No actual kids saw it, right? I would be willing to overlook it. But the deep hypocrisy is the problem. But this is even worse hypocrisy. You know what the reality is, guys? I'll tell you. It's heterosexual, right? It's heterosexual. She's a Republican. And so like, yeah, okay, you want to get away with doing a little rub and tug real quick in a public place, by all means. But God forbid, gay people exist. Trans people exist. Arrest them. Don't pass go.
In part because of the extreme behaviors that they engage in there, but in part because what they do at Drag Queen Story Hour and the pride parades, unlike what happened in the theater, is unnatural.
Oh, it is very natural to jack off your partner at Beetlejuice. That's the most natural thing in the world. Sun rises, sun sets, tide goes in, tide goes out. You have to piss multiple times a day, and you jack off your date at Beetlejuice. That's very natural. That's also natural.
Those are particularly bad. Those are particularly perverse and unnatural and should be prosecuted.
He doesn't like gay people. He doesn't like trans people. That's the gist of it. I mean, I don't know. If this doesn't prove that to you, literally nothing will prove that to you. And you have a cinder block where your head is supposed to be. He just doesn't like gay people. He just doesn't like trans people. He doesn't want them to exist. But if you're heterosexual and you're a Republican and you want to jack off your date at Beetlejuice, by all means, hey, where would it have gone too far for you, Michael Knowles? What if she ducked her head down in his lap and started sucking him off in the theater? What about that? Would that have been a problem? What if he started moaning very loudly as this all went down? Would that have been a problem for you? God, the mental gymnastics. These people are so unintelligent, right? Like, you're not even good at doing your propaganda. This is so brazen and pathetic. Anyway, there you go. Another day, another argument from a Daily Wire goon against the existence of trans and gay people. But in this case, he's also inadvertently defending jacking off people in a theater as long as you're Republican and it's a straight couple. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.